Zeno's paradoxes are infamous philosophical quandaries that have been famous for quite some time. Zeno's paradoxes revolve around the concept of a supertask, a task that takes finite time but infinite steps. According to Zeno, motion itself is a supertask, and thus cannot possibly be real. Change is an illusion. However, Zeno's paradoxes suffer from a fundamental misunderstanding of supertasks. Zeno believed that a supertask could not be performed in a finite space of time because each step is itself finite. An infinite series of finite numbers added together is infinity. This claim has many flaws, however, and I will be breaking them down today. Zeno's first paradox states that it takes you a certain amount of time to catch up to something, by which time it will go forward slightly, and you need to catch up to it again, by which time it will go forward again, etc., etc. His second paradox is somewhat similar. It states that to get somewhere, you must first travel half the distance there. To get to the second point, you must first go half of that, so on and so forth, until you have infinite finite pieces. The first and most obvious problem is a double standard. Zeno claims that infinite finite pieces is infinity. However, he refuses to acknowledge that cutting something in half infinite times makes it 1 over infinity. According to him himself, adding something finite together infinite times makes infinity. Taking one object, 1, and cutting it in half is the same as multiplying it by 2 to the negative 1. If you cut in half infinite times, it's the same as multiplying it by 2 to the negative infinity. The 1 is redundant, which leaves us just 2 to the negative infinity. That is 1 over 2 to the infinity. According to Zeno, adding something finite to itself infinite times equals infinity. Taking something to the power of x is just multiplying it by itself x number of times, and multiplying something is just adding it together x number of times. Therefore, 2 to the power of infinity equals infinity, and 1 over infinity times infinity equals 1. He is begging the question, assuming that the original thing is infinite, to prove it's infinite. Of course, one could say that standard algebra doesn't work with infinity. You would be completely correct. But this problem also assumes standard algebra to get its result. Of course, this argument can be turned on its head if we just take the reverse path. Premise 1, motion is possible. Premise 2, motion is a supertask. Conclusion, supertasks are possible. As we have shown just a moment ago, this is a stronger argument than Zeno's. Zeno's strongest argument, however, is his arrow paradox. If time is made up of infinitely small units, let's say instants, and an object is not moving in any given instant, because they are like frames in a video, then how come objects appear to move when reality is just the sum of instants? The problem is, reality is not the sum of instants. It is the sum of finite units known as Planck times, which Zeno would have no way of knowing about. Ultimately, Zeno's arguments are not kept alive by himself or their strengths, but by countless science fiction and fantasy authors behind him. Goodbye.